Hey, what's up everybody? It's TheHyphenate here, and today I'm gonna show you guys what I think is the best custom layout for video on the Sony a7S III. If you're a cinematographer, videographer, if you're using this camera for video, this is gonna help you be a lot more efficient and a lot more productive. One of the awesome things about Sony cameras is that almost every single button can be customized and changed to be whatever you want it to be. So let's start from the top. The record button can be mapped to something else if you'd like it to, and you can use the shutter button to actually start recording. However, I've left it at default where the shutter button does not start recording and the record button is only for recording. C2 I've also left at default for focus area. This allows you to change from wide to zone, center, etc. Now let's go to the back of the camera, starting from the left on C3. C3 I have mapped for focus mode, so you can switch between autofocus continuous or manual focus. Now personally, I don't really do a lot of manual focusing. This camera is incredible for autofocus. It's very rare that I want a manual focus, so that's why I have it on C3. C1 I have mapped for white balance. AF on, which is right next to that, I have mapped for eye select, for right eye or left eye select auto. Now I'll explain more about that in a bit. The AEL button I have mapped for magnification. Now this is something that I use all the time. This allows me to punch in to make sure that what I have in focus is definitely sharp. The back joystick allows you to move a focus area. So if I have, let's say, a zone, I can move the joystick to move that focus area to wherever I want it to be. And if I press the button in, I left it at default where it goes to the center. So any area that I have selected, let's say even this spot focus, if I press the joystick button in, it resets back to the center. We'll touch on the FN button in a bit, but for now, let's go to the control wheel. I actually have the wheel set to control the white balance temperature. Now that only works if you're in custom white balance. So for example, I have to click on C1, change from auto white balance to custom, right here, select that, and now using the wheel, I can just change that on the fly to whatever color temperature I want. Now I could still continue to do it in the menu and I can change it from here. However, I like having it on the wheel because this allows me to make changes very quickly. Now the control wheel also has an up, down, left, and right. The left I left at default for manual exposure, shoot mode. The right button I also left at default, which is ISO. And the up button you can't change, that's for display. So you can cycle through different types of displays. Now the down button, I actually set that to turn off the LCD screen. So if I press that button, you won't see it here because we're actually in HDMI mode. But if I click that bottom button, it actually will black out the screen and have it off only to go into the viewfinder. The reason I did that was because I really can't stand when I accidentally get too close to the sensor of the viewfinder that it activates it and it turns off my LCD screen. This way, I don't have to worry about that at all. Now, if you want to know more about that, I do have a video in the description that explains more about that in detail. The C4 button, or the trash can button, I actually have set to monitor brightness. So if I'm outdoors, I can instantly change the setting to sunny weather so it's a lot more bright and more vibrant, easier to see on a bright day. Okay, now let's go into the FN menu. The first button is for audio record level. The second button is for touch operation. Sometimes I don't want the touchscreen to be active, so right here I can easily change that. The next one is right, left eye select. Now if we click on that, here you can see that you can have auto, where the camera will decide which eye it focuses on, and usually it's just whichever one it has a better sight of. Or you can choose manually right or left eye. Now this is their right eye or their left eye, not what you see as left or right. It's the individual person's right or left. Now let's go back to that AF on button that I programmed earlier for the eye switch. Now I'm gonna point my camera at this poster. Now, if I go into the FN and I go to auto, this is gonna find whatever eye it wants. Now, if I click FN and I select what eye I want, let's say I want it to go to her right eye. If I click on that, it'll go to her right eye. Now, if I want it to go to her left, I can go back here and I can choose left. I can actually press the AF on button that I programmed earlier to switch instantly to whatever eye I want. So I don't have to keep going back into the menu. Now this is great because ideally you always want the closest eye to the lens to be what's in focus. And if you don't want it to be manually selected, then you can click the FN button, go to auto, and then now it'll automatically find it. You can still press the AF on button and it can still switch at any moment. And if you want to cancel that selection, just press that center button. This is something that I think is extremely essential. Back to the FN menu. Next is peaking. I have that on off. That way I can actually have peaking on when I'm doing manual focus. Underneath that, I have peak level. So you can switch between high, mid, or low. And then next to that one, I have peak color. So you can choose what color you want it to be. I have it set to red. Now back to the top of the FN, next to peak, I have zebra display. Now this is to make sure that you're not overexposing. So you can turn that on or off. And then underneath that, I have the zebra level, and you can choose whatever level you want. I actually normally keep it at 95. Now on the top right corner, you see a grayed out box. That's APS-C mode or Super 35 mode. Now this only works if you're shooting in 1080p, in HD. And with this mode, you can actually turn on Super 35 mode, which will turn your sensor into essentially a Super 35 or an APS-C, which is a 1.5 times crop. So then you can make your, let's say, for example, 20mm lens turn into a 30mm lens, 1.5 times. Again, this only works in HD. Now to the bottom left, I have autofocus transition speed. This is something I'm constantly changing. If I'm shooting something like a music video or some type of fast moving subject, then I always have this set at high. But if I want something more cinematic, I'll have that a little bit slower. Next to that, I have autofocus subject shift sensitivity. And that is also something that I change pretty frequently depending on the environment that I'm shooting. Now in the right corner, I have prioritize media. This is in the rare situation where I want to record to a specific memory card. But for me, what I normally have is both memory cards being written the exact same data. So I have it simultaneously recording or taking photos onto both memory cards. As you can see here, memory card 1 and 2 are both being recorded to, and they are the same size, so they have the exact same amount of space left. Now I do want to show you on the menu, I do have a favorites tab. I actually have 2 of them that I've put other functions that I constantly am adjusting. So on my menu 1, I've added file format. I've also added movie settings to actually choose the actual bit rate and frame rate. Then I also have gamma display assist for when I'm shooting an S-Log3. Having that on kind of gives it a basic LUT where it is not so flat when you are viewing it through the LCD screen, but it continues to record in the flat profile. Then I have face memory. This is great for being able to make sure that your camera focuses on one person over another. So you can use face memory to actually take a picture of the person and it locks in their face so that they are the priority. So if they are in a shot with other people, they're the ones that get focused on. Under that, I have register faces priority, and that's on, which you would need to have on in order for face memory to work. Then under that, I have face eye subject, so you can switch between human or animal. Under that, I have send to smartphone. Now in my menu 2, I have HDMI resolution, so the resolution that's coming out of an HDMI connection. And then HDMI output settings, which allows me to make any adjustments for output resolution or being able to record to the memory card while it's outputting HDMI, etc. And then HDMI info display, currently you see that I have it on. That's the only way you'd actually be able to see me going through this menu, as right now I'm connected via HDMI. If I had that off, it wouldn't allow me to actually go through the menu and you wouldn't see any of the actual display info. So there you guys have it. That's what I think is the best custom layout for video on the Sony a7S III. If you're interested in getting this camera or any of the other equipment that I use, I have links in the description where you can purchase them from either B&H Photo or Amazon. It doesn't change the price that you get it at, but it does help this channel. Please make sure to drop a like on this video, drop a comment below if you have any questions, and please make sure to subscribe. I have a lot more videos coming soon. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.